Another thing that continues to fuel this conversation is perception. Whether people agree or disagree with Claressa Shields, it's becoming harder to separate the boxing headlines from the relationship headlines. Every time she steps into the spotlight, the conversation seems to drift away from her accomplishments inside the ring and back toward everything happening outside of it. That's a difficult position for any athlete because public attention doesn't always translate into positive momentum. A lot of fans online have argued that the biggest problem isn't Claressa's talent. Very few people question what she has accomplished throughout her career. The debate is about branding, public image, and how she responds to criticism. Instead of allowing the conversation to fade naturally, many believe every response creates another cycle that keeps the controversy alive. Social media has become a place where every post, every caption, and every interview is analyzed frame by frame. The relationship with Papoose also continues to dominate discussions. Since he is still publicly connected to an unresolved marriage in many people's minds, every appearance together generates another wave of commentary. Some viewers believe Claressa is unfairly judged simply because of who she's dating. Others argue that entering such a public situation naturally invites scrutiny. Either way, the relationship has become almost impossible to separate from her public image. That's why this latest press conference generated so much attention before anyone even talked about the actual fight. Instead of boxing strategy becoming the biggest headline, people focused on body language, crowd reactions, ticket sales, awkward moments on stage, and comments made during the event. That says a lot about where public interest currently sits. Another discussion happening online revolves around promotion. Some boxing fans have questioned whether celebrity crossovers and entertainment partnerships are helping or hurting the event. While bringing in personalities from reality television and social media can attract new viewers, traditional boxing fans often prefer the focus to remain on the fighters themselves. It's a balancing act that every promoter has to navigate. Supporters, however, see it differently. They argue that boxing has always relied on personalities as much as athletic ability. They point out that creating headlines, stirring debate, and keeping fans talking has always been part of selling fights. From that perspective, even negative conversations keep the spotlight on the event and can ultimately translate into more attention when fight night arrives. Still, critics remain skeptical. They believe attention without excitement isn't enough. Social media engagement doesn't automatically become ticket sales or pay-per-view purchases. That's why people immediately started discussing reported attendance numbers and asking whether the promotional strategy was actually reaching casual sports fans beyond internet discussions. Another recurring topic has been Claressa's confidence. Throughout her career, she has consistently projected absolute belief in herself, something that many elite athletes consider necessary to reach the top. Confidence is often celebrated when athletes are winning, but it can quickly be reinterpreted as arrogance when public opinion shifts. That's exactly where many observers believe this situation currently stands. Others defend her approach by pointing out that champions rarely become champions by doubting themselves. They argue that if Claressa wasn't outspoken, people would criticize her for lacking personality. In today's sports world, athletes are expected to market themselves constantly, and confidence is often part of that marketing. Meanwhile, Papoose has also become a major talking point. During the press conference, many viewers focused on his speech almost as much as the fighters themselves. Some online commentators questioned a few of his statements, while others felt he simply got caught up trying to support someone he cares about. Regardless of where people stand, his appearance ensured that discussions about the event extended far beyond boxing. The online reaction afterward reflected just how divided public opinion has become. Some fans praised Claressa for continuing to chase big opportunities despite constant criticism. Others argued that the focus should return to boxing fundamentals rather than celebrity storylines and relationship drama. Those opposing viewpoints continue to dominate comment sections every time her name trends. One thing that seems undeniable is that expectations remain incredibly high whenever Claressa competes. Because she has built a reputation as one of the most accomplished female boxers of her generation, every performance is measured against an exceptionally high standard. Fans don't simply expect victories. They expect dominant victories against elite opposition. Anything less immediately sparks debate. Looking ahead, this upcoming fight could become an important turning point. A convincing performance would likely shift at least part of the conversation back toward her abilities inside the ring. On the other hand, if the event struggles to meet expectations or new controversies emerge, critics will almost certainly argue that the distractions surrounding her career have become impossible to ignore. In the end, that's what makes this story so interesting. It's no longer just about punches thrown inside the ropes. It's about branding, public perception, celebrity relationships, media narratives, and how athletes navigate constant scrutiny in the age of social media. Whether people support Claressa Shields or disagree with her approach, one thing is clear: she continues to generate conversation every time she steps into the spotlight. Now the question shifts to fight night itself. Will the performance silence critics and redirect attention to boxing? Or will the conversations surrounding her personal life once again overshadow everything that happens inside the ring? That's the debate fans continue having, and it's one that likely won't be settled until the final bell rings. Another reason this conversation keeps resurfacing is because public perception can change much faster than an athlete's actual accomplishments. Years of hard work inside the ring can suddenly take a back seat when the headlines outside the ring become louder than the fights themselves. Whether that's fair or unfair is something fans continue debating, but it's the reality of today's social media environment. A lot of people online have pointed out that the BET Awards seemed like an opportunity to shift the narrative. Walking the red carpet, taking photos together, and making public appearances can help keep someone in the spotlight. But attention and admiration aren't always the same thing. While the appearance generated discussion, many viewers felt it didn't significantly change how they already viewed the situation. Instead, most of the evening belonged to the artists, athletes, and entertainers who were being recognized for their achievements. Award shows naturally become celebrations of the winners, memorable performances, emotional speeches, and career milestones. Once those moments began unfolding, the conversation surrounding Claressa and Papoose gradually became just another topic among many, rather than the defining story of the night. Then there are the discussions surrounding public appearances with other high-profile athletes and celebrities. Some social media users interpreted those moments as genuine networking, while others viewed them as strategic attempts to associate with larger names and trending conversations. Without knowing anyone's intentions, those interpretations remain speculation, but they continue to fuel online debate. That's the challenge public figures face today. Every photo, every courtside appearance, every interview, and every social media post gets analyzed from multiple angles. Supporters see confidence and smart marketing. Critics see calculated branding. The same image can create completely different reactions depending on who's looking at it. Another issue repeatedly raised by boxing fans has very little to do with personal relationships. Many simply want the conversation to return to boxing. They want discussions centered around opponents, rankings, future matchups, championship opportunities, and legacy inside the sport. Instead, they often find themselves reading headlines about internet feuds, celebrity gossip, and relationship speculation. For any elite athlete, that's probably the biggest concern. When casual fans recognize your name because of controversy instead of competition, it becomes much harder to control your own narrative. The sport gradually becomes secondary, even though it's supposed to remain the main attraction. Promotion has also become part of the debate. Some fans appreciate crossover marketing that introduces boxing to audiences who may not normally watch the sport. Others believe relying too heavily on celebrity personalities takes attention away from the athletes actually competing. It's a discussion that has existed across combat sports for years, and this event has simply become another example. Many supporters argue that Claressa has earned the right to promote herself however she chooses, because her accomplishments inside the ring speak for themselves. They point to her championships, Olympic success, and willingness to continue challenging herself. From that perspective, the criticism often feels excessive and unrelated to her actual boxing resume. Critics, however, counter that elite athletes are judged on more than athletic ability. They argue that professionalism, public image, consistency, and how someone handles criticism all contribute to their overall reputation. Whether people agree with that standard or not, it's increasingly how modern sports culture operates. The discussion surrounding the Sportswoman of the Year award also highlighted another important point. Annual awards are designed to recognize what happened during a specific eligibility period rather than rewarding an entire career. That's why fans spent so much time comparing recent accomplishments rather than lifetime achievements. Many observers felt that the eventual winner had assembled an exceptional year both competitively and commercially. Others still believed Claressa deserved stronger consideration because of her historical impact on women's boxing. Reasonable people can disagree about award voting, but once the results were announced, attention quickly shifted toward reactions rather than the award itself. That's often what happens in today's media landscape. The response to winning or losing sometimes becomes a bigger story than the competition that led to the award in the first place. Every interview, tweet, podcast appearance, and social media comment adds another chapter to the discussion. Looking forward, the upcoming fight presents an opportunity to redirect attention back where many boxing fans believe it belongs. A dominant performance against a respected opponent has a way of changing conversations far more effectively than online debates ever can. Winning convincingly inside the ring often quiets criticism more than responding to every comment on social media. At the same time, expectations will remain extremely high. That's simply part of being one of the sport's biggest names. Every event, every press conference, and every performance will continue to be examined closely, because that's what comes with competing at the highest level. Ultimately, the story has become much larger than one award show or one viral moment. It's about how an elite athlete balances championship ambitions, personal relationships, public scrutiny, and constant online commentary while trying to preserve a legacy. Some fans believe the criticism has gone too far, while others believe it comes with the territory of living so publicly. Whether the narrative changes from here will probably depend less on social media and more on what happens when the opening bell rings. If the performance delivers, much of the conversation could naturally return to boxing. If new controversies continue overshadowing the competition, the off-the-ring headlines will likely remain just as prominent as the fights themselves. That's why so many people are watching closely. It's no longer just about another title defense or another promotional event. It's about whether the next chapter of Claressa Shields' career will be defined primarily by championship performances or by the conversations surrounding everything happening outside the ropes.